Then you'll share the recording afterwards,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So can we start, or we're waiting for somebody else?
And we can start.
We can
You start.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Hi guys, I'm Stefan Ivanov, and I'm a regional manager at Hedgehog. It's a great pleasure to be with you today. Special thanks to Chaturanga and Pasan for inviting us. Just a moment. Do we see everybody on the camera?
Yes.
Okay.
Give us a second.
Okay, perfect. So just a couple of housekeeping I would like to go through before we start. First, for the agenda, I'll start by saying a few words about us and Hedgehog. There'll be some sales talk here and there, but don't worry, I'll keep it to the absolutely minimum. I just have to do it to keep my boss happy. And also, I think it'll be interesting for you. Afterwards, we'll dig deeper into our products, which is the main point of our presentation. Team development for Sitecore, which is our leading performance optimization tool, development optimization tool, and afterwards we'll also demo our new tool, which is called Razl. We'll try to keep the presentation interactive, so there will be question panels every 3 to 5 minutes. Just wait for our sign and ask your questions. Don't be shy. And if you miss a suitable opportunity to ask, there will be a bigger Q&A at the end. And you also receive our contacts, so feel free to engage us afterwards. It's great that we can see you, by the way, because we can also do some show of hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but if we cannot see you very well, I'll ask the organizers to help us and give us an idea about the results. We don't need exact numbers, just tell me, let's say if it's everybody or half of it and so on. Let's just try by one question. How many of you are Sitecore developers here?
All site.
Okay. Just raise your hands. I saw only one, and I was a little bit strange for me. Yeah. Yay! Many Sitecore developers. That was my expectation. Only one will be very strange. But don't worry, I have a presentation for non-developers too. So if you want, I can switch right back to my sales presentation. Okay, but I think we'll stick to the agenda. Okay. Well, let's introduce ourselves in a little bit more details. As I said, I'm Stefan Ivanov. I'm regional manager for Europe, Asia, and Africa in Hedgehog development. And apart from my business development responsibilities, I'm also responsible for our community engagements in these regions. So that's why I'm here with you today. And here with me, I have Nikola Gotsev, a seasoned senior Sitecore developer, Sitecore MVP. Actually, he's the first Sitecore MVP in Bulgaria, so we are very proud of him. And he will give you a deep dive into TDS and Razl while he's doing the demos. Well, now I just have a few questions for you. Get to know each other. How many of you know about TDS? Or have used TDS?
Yes.
Okay, almost all of you. Perfect.
Yeah.
So you can ask more complicated questions to Nicola. Don't worry, he's an expert, so he'll be able to answer. And how many of you have used Razl? One, two. Okay.
Pretty disappointing.
Don't worry. After this presentation, you'll know what is it. Okay, and that question is really important. How many of you think Lion is the best beer brand in the world? Nobody? You don't like Lion? You don't drink beer. Okay, so who is drinking beer last? Everybody. You're shy. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. Few words about Hedgehog. We are a Sitecore implementation and technology partner for many years now. We have offices in USA and in Europe. Me and Nicola, we are from the European office. We are also Microsoft Gold certified partner. We won many Sitecore awards through the years. Our latest is the North America overall winner with Comcast, where we are the leading Sitecore partner. We have 4 Sitecore MVPs. You had the pleasure to speak with one of us today. Hedgehog is also a big fan of the community. You probably know this, so I won't say much. We are a major sponsor and presenter in almost all of the major Sitecore events. And we also host the Sitecore user group directory, where we see you're already registered, so I will not advertise this. Okay. So let's move on to team development to Sitecore. As I said already, this is our best practice tool for Sitecore development. It's even used by Sitecore, some of the Sitecore teams, to develop the platform. 90% of the MVPs are using and recommend it, and we've sold more than 10,000 licenses worldwide. These are just some facts that shows TDS is really helping people. Now I'll put you in the capable hands of Nicola to show you why people are buying it.
Okay, so hello everyone. As Stefan already said, I'm Nicola Gotsev, Senior Solutions Developer at Hedgehog, and I'm a Sitecore MVP for this year. Today we are going to dive deeper into TDS and Razl. I will focus more on the TDS. I saw that most of you already used it, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask at the questions panels. First, let me say that we at Hedgehog were truly amazed by the amazing adoption rate that happened with TDS. Many developers are now using it, as can be seen even in the people sitting in this room. The thing we noticed when we started using Sitecore is that it lacks good deployment process and it makes it hard for team collaboration. That's why we decided to go in the direction of using TDS. So today's demo, I have prepared 3 websites. NewsDev, which is going to be my development instance, which is at the moment just a blank Sitecore. We have NewsQA, which is going to serve as our QA instance, pretty standard. And we have a production instance, which is going to be our production, actually. Pretty familiar situation, most of the cases. As you can see that I have a blank Sitecore instance, nothing installed, pretty standard, nothing synchronized. So we are going to restore it first. Let's imagine that I'm a new developer just joining the project. Here I have a pretty straightforward solution. simple. It's using Sitecore MVC, it's using GlassORM, and it's using Bootstrap for the front end because I'm pretty bad at this. I guess many of you are as well. So we have a couple of views, one controller, some models classes, and the most important part, our TDS project. As you can see, already most of you have used it already. It's mimicking the Sitecore structure. This is done on purpose. There was a question how you show it's on our website that we are making it come to life. This is the way that your clients can see what's in Sitecore just by browsing through the source control if you have any practices. As I said, I'm using GlassORM. I'm just going to hint on code generation for now, but you see it's not something that you should be afraid of. So let's say that I'm a new developer, and the only thing I have to do to start working on this project is click deploy. By the way, do you see my screen well?
Yes.
Do you want me to zoom in?
No, not.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, so let's see what's happened here in our development instance. So we have our project restored here. As you can see, this is a pretty simple website. We just have one homepage with the carousel. We have our news. We have our blogs. Basically, some test content. And this is the recommended practice. At any time, you should have the minimal amount of content needed for a new developer to start working on the project. TDS is usually not a place where you store all of your content. Okay, do we have any questions so far?
No.
Okay, then we should move on. As most of you might know, TDS is using the .NET build configurations, the solution configurations. So here in this project, I have my debug, QA, and release. TDS is using all of them. Every single tab is controlled by them, except for the general tab. So let's start actually from the general tab. Here you have a source web project, which should be your project where your Sitecore code is stored, like your front-end facing website. The other properties are auto-populated, and the only thing you need to fill in here is the master database. So basically, this is done to help us deploy the solution correctly, the code. You can skip this step, adding a source web project, if you already have some code deployment strategies in place. The other important tab is when you are setting your new TDS project is the build tab. Here you need to pre-populate Sitecore web URL. This is going to be the place where your Sitecore website is, and you need a Sitecore deploy folder. This can be a path to your local machine or any UNC path. And as we'll see later, you're not obligated to fill this, but we will talk about this a little bit later. Okay, so the deploy folder, as I said, can be a file on your local system or an UNC path, some server somewhere. Okay, so now what TDS done is when I click deploy, is it pushed the current state of my TDS project to my Sitecore instance. It means that it restored all the content that's versioned here, all the layouts, all the components, and all the templates, basically everything is restored on the server. So now let's say we have a task. Let me go to the news page. Our client wants the news to have an author. It's a fairly reasonable request because all news should have an author. So what are we going to do when we are using TDS? We're going to go in the content editor. Don't blame me for not using Crocs. It's for presentation purposes only. We're going to go to the news page, and we're just going to add a news author field, which subtypes single line text. Let's see if our template has it now. Yep, it's up here in the bottom. The next step is going into Sitecore and getting these changes. We have two ways to do it right now. We can use the get Sitecore items feature, which will show us this item here as unchecked, which means it's not versioned. But the recommended practice is use sync with Sitecore. And as you can see here, we have the missing item synchronized and showed for us. So what TDS actually done right now is it compared the current state of the project with the current state of the Sitecore instance. It's possible to be vice versa as well. It's now saying missing in project. We have an action step here. Here we have 3 different steps we can do. No action, just leave the item as it is. It will not add it to TDS, and it will not remove it from Sitecore. We have the option add to project, which will just add the file to the project, to the TDS project, and keep it in Sitecore, and we have remove from Sitecore. This is actually a pretty good option because sometimes you just need to revert your changes, and it will make it really easy to revert your Sitecore instance. Right now, we just want to add it to our project. For multiple fields or items, you can just use the buttons on the top. You can get everything from Sitecore or delete from Sitecore or whatever you want. Right now, as I said, we are going to add the project, and we just need to click do updates. And as you can see, the field is now added in our source control. Let's go back to the topic of code generation. When I added this field, I kept my code generation in place. So now you can see that the news author is already here as a field. It automatically regenerated my models, and I had to do nothing. This really powerful developer accelerator keeps us up to date at all times. We are no longer using any magic strings or stuff like this, or just strings or IDs. We can just use these generated code items. The only thing left for me is to add the field to our news page. It's, as I said, we are using class mapper here. So I'm just going to render the field. And build the solution. Okay, any questions so far?
One question is when you are syncing, there is no way to do a field level syncing.
Field level.
The
field level. With the sync, you can do a field level sync, yeah, or you can do an item level sync, depending on how the deployment property manager is set. But we will talk about this a little bit later.
Okay.
But the sync can work on the whole solution level, or it can just work for one item if you want, depending on your preference. But yeah, you can do it on field level. And yeah.
Oh.
So let me just populate the author here. Save it. And yeah, it appears right here. So now, let's go back to our QA instance. Let's explore our Let's see our news page. There is no article author here. Let's go to the page. There is not one here as well. I'm showing you this in case you say that I'm lying, but here is a proof that we don't have author field here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to check in my changes in source control. And I'm going to push my code to QA. This gives me the time to tell you about item ownerships, which is something we really value here. Item ownership is one of the big things that Hedgehog has. Thanks to the source control features, at any time you can know who made the change to the item and who actually owns this item. In many cases, this might be a problem because on our local instances, I doubt anyone here is using anything other than the admin user. So item ownership is pretty important when you try to achieve for clean code and when you're managing big teams. So let's go back to our QA instance now and check this template again. Sitecore 8 is a little bit slow. Okay, so we have our news author field here. The only thing left is just to add some text test author. And it's here. What we just did is we pushed the entire content and the new code to our QA instance without dealing with Sitecore packages, some other deployment strategies, and stuff like this. Do we have any questions about deployments? Anyone? Don't be shy. I love to answer questions. Okay, let's move on then. The next thing we should do, let's go back to our news instance and let's say that we have a request from the client that the author field shouldn't be on the bottom and it should be on the top. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to sort it first. They want it to be on top. Let's see how it looks like. It's on top now. You know the clients, they always complain about the field orderings. So now I'm just going back to TDS. I'm going to sync with Sitecore. And as you can see, I get a message saying that my item is newer. Here you can see which fields change in your Sitecore instance. Currently the change field is sort order. This is the order. This is the field which Sitecore knows how to order them, actually the fields. We also have the revision and the updated changed. These are standard Sitecore fields. They're mainly for keeping track, housekeeping. So now on the field level deployments, we have three options actually, instead of just two. We can update the project, which will add the value from Sitecore to my TDS project. We have update Sitecore, which will just switch the sort order back. And of course, we have the merge option, which is going to bring some nice merge screen that is going to merge our options. Right now, we want to update our project. Again, selecting an option and clicking do updates, we will do the trick. Now, let's check our code again. And let's push to our QA instance. Okay, now let's talk about the deployment property manager. Deployment property manager is an option which you can open from the property, from right-clicking on the project. And it's pretty important for different build configurations. So here we have 3 properties. The easiest one is probably the deploy feature. They're just options once and always. In the deployment property manager, when you want a piece of content, it's actually valid for all the content and standard Sitecore items. You want to set it to deploy once. Deploy once means that it is going to try to deploy it, but it will not override the item if there is one existing. It's pretty useful for cases where you don't want to override the content of your content editors, especially in QA instance. The other option here is always deploy. This will make the item deploy always, no matter if there is an already existing item. If there is an already existing item, it is going to override. We have child sync option. Child sync option can be set to none, which means that when I click the sync window, nothing will be synchronized. The item's children won't be checked for synchronization. We have the all children option, which means that the item and all its sub-items will be always synchronized. So when I click the sync window, and there are some changes 3 folders deep, and if I set all children on the layout item, it means that it's going to synchronize the item which is 4 folders deep. The other options is direct descendants, which is just going to notice changes in the direct children of the item into its Sitecore childs. The most intriguing option is the current config one. We have 2 options, include and exclude. This is again related to our build configuration. As you can see in debug, I have everything to include. But if I switch to QA, I will have my content excluded. This means that when TDS is trying to synchronize the changes and when it generates the code, it won't add these items to the package. So it means that every time I'm deploying to QA, I'm just ignoring the block and the news items, and they are not anyhow related. Now let's see if our QA instance is back on. And I'm ready to gather some questions, if you have any. Okay. So let's check our QA instance now. The news outer field should be on top. Let's check the item. And the news outer field is on top. So we deployed our field change directly to the QA, not the entire item change, but just this one field. Let's move on. Let's talk about release and pushing to release. In many cases, you won't have direct access to the production server file system, which means you cannot use the standard TDS deployment method with right-click deploy. And for this, we have our update package strategy in place. So if I switch to my release mode, you see that I don't have my Sitecore web URL and deploy folder populated, which means it's not going to deploy the packages anywhere, but I have my other tab update package set. Update package is enabled by clicking the checkbox, generate package during build. It's valid even for the standard deployments like the debug one. I can allow it to generate a package as well, except for pushing code. We have some pretty standard information like the package name, the author, version, publisher, and stuff like this. We have an option to create a package with items and code, and we have an option to generate separate code and item packages. Why is that? On most production instances, you have content management server, and you have a lot of CDS, maybe two, let's say for example. The CM should be updated with all the items and all the code, but the CD servers should just be updated with the code. So that's why you have the option to split the package to item and code. So on the CM, you are going to push your code and item package, and on the CDSs, you're just going to push your code. They're going to receive their content from the CM. So let's see if it works. Let's build our project in release. Now we have a package release here, and I have a new package created, which is called master, and the current date is pointed to it. So how are we going to install this package? Let me switch back to my production instance. Let's go to the update installation wizard. Is everyone familiar with the update installation wizard page, the admin page?
Yes.
Okay. I guess you have already used it to deploy to production, but still. From here, we are just choosing our package, which is in D. Come on. Okay. I'm going to upload it. I'm going to preview the information. I will analyze it first. Analyze is actually pretty useful in case where you want to see what is going to be overridden. You will see the current action taken. As I said, the keep set it to deploy once, you see just the keep current item action. This happens when you set it to deploy once. And if it's set to deploy always, it is going to override the item. So now I'm just going to install it. You can see that in the log what it's installing at the moment. We should wait for a little bit. Let's go to the sidecar meanwhile. Sidecar 8 is really bad for presentations, as it's degrading in performance. Okay, here we are. So if everything went right, we should have our news author field here. Yep, we do. And the code is also pushed. Any questions about the update package generation and deployments? Okay, we're moving on. So let's talk a bit about code generation. How many of you have used code generation with TDS? Can you raise your hands, please? Okay, so I take it as no one then. Okay, this is a pretty powerful feature. I strongly recommend start to use it after the presentation. It's pretty simple. In TDS, you have a code generation tab. When you click enable code generation, you're going to have this folder right here. You need to set a target project. This doesn't have to be your web project. Any class library will count, or anything that generates DLL basically. Now I'm currently generating in my common project. and I'm having GWAS models. We have a target file, which is the file where my models are going. It's a good practice to keep your models, especially when using GWAS, into a designer file instead of the standard file. And I have my base namespace, which is models. You can see that here everything starts with common models and just the path to the Sitecore template. And the most important part are the code generation template. So here at Hedgehog, we have a GitHub repository with some basic code generation templates. We have code generation templates for GWAS. We have code generation templates for documentation and for the Velira ORM. Here I'm using GWAS, as I said. The templates are not that hard to extend. You can extend them at any point, or you can just keep to the default ones. Actually, they are pretty good as well. And everything is located on our GitHub repository. Any questions about code generation? No? Okay. So now let's talk about validation a little bit. This is mainly created for big teams, and it's actually helping junior developers very much. The only thing you have to do is click enable validation and choose some kind of validators. We have added some kind of standard validators. We have them for template structure. Let's say that the template should have a single standard value field under it and only field sections. We have validation for items should be deployed once, which should be valid for all the content. And let's say I want to add this section, this validation. I'm just clicking the checkbox, and now I have a list of fields that need to be set to deploy once. Proof it works. Let's change the verbosity to an error, and we're going to make our content item to be deployed always. Let's see what happens when it builds. And it should not have happened. Come on. Oh, I'm building in release, sorry. The validations were also deployment. Okay, now it's crashing. So it won't allow me to build it at least unless the Sitecore content is set to always update. Okay, any questions on validators? We actually have a blog post by Charles Turano, our senior solutions architect, CTO, and the creator of TDS. It's in our blog. Feel free to drop it by. I have also written some custom validators. They're on GitHub. You can check them and you can add them to your TDS instance. So, any questions about validation?
Yeah, I have a question. Hi, Nicola. This is Dilanka. Now, you saw actually in the general tab and then rest of the tabs in TDS, how it's configured. When we are syncing, how is it actually connecting to the Sitecore? We don't provide username, password, or any credentials, right? So does it connect to the database itself, or is it connecting via Sitecore UI? How does TDS work?
Yeah, this is actually a pretty good question. So on the build tab, I haven't spoken much about the Sitecore connector. We have a Sitecore connector, which requires Sitecore access GUID. This is how the instance understands that our solutions is communicating with it. And inside, let me browse the file system for a website. We have a newly created dev folder. This happens when you use TDS. When you install the Sitecore connector, you have a dev folder here, and we have a web service that communicates with the Visual Studio project. So it's actually based on web service communication. It recognizes the instance by the access GUID we have put in there, and it is just hitting this web service. It doesn't require any sidecar credentials and stuff like this. It's just super admin as it's working as an inner tool. Is that clear?
Yeah. So for different instances, I mean for QA and different environments, so do we have different keys?
It is recommended to have different keys for QA and for dev and QA instances. On my QA instance, it's the same right now. No, it's actually not. I'm just switching the configurations. It's good to have different access keys, so someone won't mess up with deployments actually. So if you're on a wrong configuration, you won't be able to deploy or something like that. And some of the people might, well, keep them different because there might be problems.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? We're good?
Yep.
Okay. The other two topics, I'm just going to talk about them and give you some real-life examples. We have the multi-project properties. Here we have two options. One is called base template references, and the other one is package bundling. Base template references used when you're working on a huge project and you want to have a TDS project with something base for all the websites you have. Imagine you have a multi-instance sidecar with more than 80 instances in it, 80 websites, sorry, and you just want to have some kind of base page. Here, it's mainly used for code generation. You just check the mark here, and the code generation is going to take the templates from the base project you're adding here. The other one is package bundling. This happens when you have, let's say, two TDS projects, one for master and one for core, and you want them to always deploy together. You just check the checkbox, and the core project will automatically deploy together with the master project. Let me show you. Let's say I have a core project. I need to close this. And if I click the properties, now I can select this project. And every time I'm building a package or deploying a project, it will automatically deploy the core project as well. The other option I'm going just to mention is file replacements. This mostly happens when you're working with front-end developers. Maybe you want to move the styles, JavaScripts, you just want the compiled ones, so you're not going to version them in your project because most of the cases they're going to use something else. And you can just copy a file or an entire folder. And actually, this ends my TDS demo. Do you have any questions about TDS? Feel free to ask anything.
Yeah, I have one question, Nicola.
Sure.
If there is a possibility to sync the child nodes only. I mean, when we are syncing a child node only, is it syncing whole project and give us the result?
So the question is there a possibility to sync only the children, not the entire folder?
Yes, because when we do it, sometimes say that we have sometimes in our projects we have missing some those TDS files, even though reference is there in the project, files are missing from the actual directory. But if we try to sync a different node which is correctly configured, it returns us error. So we are thinking that even though we sync another node, it seems like it is going through whole master, for example, master project and something like that. Is it happen? Yeah, when you yeah, when you click the thing with the psycho or not,
the sidecar.
yes. When you, I mean, if you sync a child node only, is it validating whole project? That is my question.
Um, Sorry, we're not sure we understand you here. Is it the problem that you get errors when you do things?
Say
So
that
I think what actually what happening is that, so let's say you actually insert you only going to synchronize the layout section in the tree,
Okay.
but what TDS does is find another problem somewhere else in the tree and just throw an error. So the question is, even though you specifically select a section in the content tree to sync, by default in TDS, does TDS do the content validation for all of the tree, or just why don't it ignore the rest and just carry on with what you are trying to synchronize?
Okay, so it does the relation between templates and content items itself.
Okay.
Not sure about the layouts, but if you are having problems syncing layouts this way, you might have to contact our support guys. They're pretty responsive, and I'm absolutely sure this might not be an expected behavior.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the problem we had is let's say somewhere in the long line the project was broken somewhere else, and I think every time you sync, even though it's not part of your syncing process anyway, but it's TDS trying to validate entire tree and throw an error somewhere else rather than the specific area we are trying to synchronize. So
Okay.
maybe, yeah, I think by default, which is a good thing, sometimes it can be a pain as well, because sometimes we find out one of the files are missing, which actually a developer error. But if there's anything we can do to mitigate that, that'd be helpful as well. But yeah, of course, we can always contact you guys as well. That's no problem.
And is the problem appearing when you're trying to sync something which is really long as a path?
It is not necessarily. It just may be that the site, let's say on example, let's say you actually, in fact, synchronizing component section you just selected, but TDS complain about something is missing on the content area or somewhere else. So there has been a few issues that is nothing relevant to the changes we made, but it's kind of TDS scan through all the solution and say, okay, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing. Since we can't really synchronize it. So that is of us doing a synchronization, even though we don't really care about content. We just need to synchronize template, but TDS complain about content as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe this may have fixed in the later version. I'm not sure, but yeah, if that's not expected behavior, we can always talk to the support team.
Yeah.
If you're suggesting that.
I would suggest you send us an email with brief description of your case, and we can check it up for you, because we cannot say 100% now if it's supposed to be like that, but we'll see it with support and the architect of TDS and get back to you.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Perfect. And just thing I want to show you, if you actually have problems with long paths, there is a panacea for this in TDS. You just go to your item. For example, I'm going in the components, and here is an option called File System Alias. Here you can add a field. Let's remove something more deeper, actually. So news page. I'm adding a file system alias as MP. I'm going to save that. And when I go to the file system now, you see that it's still named news page here, But if I go to the file system, you will see that the items are named to MP. This is the way to deal with paths which are longer than 255 characters, which is actually a limitation of the Windows file system, not of TDS. We are not limited by technologies, I mean, except from Visual Studio. But file system aliasing is a pretty nice feature. It's usually recommended to do it at a highest level. So let's say components or news. So this is a way to trim your paths if they are starting to get out of control. It will just move all the folders. It will take a bit now, but file system aliasing is the way to fight this kind of stuff. Okay?
Okay.
And here it's named C, but I canceled the move, so it just has a couple of items here. Okay, anything else about TDS?
Other thing is that my earlier question, for example, say that if we have in the home item, if we change 2 fields, but we only need to sync 1 field, is that possible, or is it only supporting item level?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Can I get back on this later?
Yeah, good.
Okay, anything else, or should we move on?
Nicola, one more question. When we integrate these TDS packages with continuous integration server, is there a specific command or specific server that we can use for that?
Do you mean specific build server or?
No, when we are, for example, when we using a continuous integration server, we can use MS build to compile the Visual Studio project. Like that, is there a specific command that we should use to upload and integrate the TDS package?
In many cases, we are working with all build servers and all source control systems. We are not limited. I can show you my build configuration about QA. Okay. It is just compiling the TDS project, and it will move the code if the Hedgehog news is, if there is source web project set here, and if all the references are present. If you have more than one web project, you can just add another TDS project and use the multi-project bundling. So you can even fit for 2 source web projects, but it's just compiling the project. I mean, almost everything we have currently is set on continuous integration, and it's deploying both the code and the items. If you don't want to deploy the items, you can just select non-source project. Is that your question, or did I get it wrong?
No, actually, I was wondering, like MS build, when we are using MS continuous integration server, we use some commands to automate it. Like MS, we use MS build to compile the project as a one step, and then we use some command to run the test cases. And likewise, when we are using automated builds, is there a specific commands and arguments that some way that we can automate it? Once TDS. Once we commit the code to the dev server, how can we configure it to automatically upload it to the dev server and extract it and install on the Sidecore instance?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say this is a little bit longer discussion. What you're looking for is possible, but it really depends on the specific cases. Usually, well, I would say it really depends on the specific case, but as you mentioned, once you submit the source code, you can do the build, and from there it's possible to script the package building, but I would say if you can write, once again, if you can write us your specifics, we can get back to you.
And it really depends on the build server you're using, on the type.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you want to automatically install packages generated from your build server via MS build, you can always use the Sidecore chip or the package installer. This is another setup we are familiar with. We are just building the packages from the update package, and you can just post them to your Sitecore instance if the Sitecore ship has access to it. So via these packages, you can deploy via ship from a remote server via posting them. It's worth to take a look at Sitecore ship and how it works.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, guys, we'll have to continue. So I would suggest we get back to the presentation. I have a few more words to say about TDS. Few words about licensing. TDS is licensed at $749 per developer. It is a lifetime license. It doesn't expire. It comes with 1 year of free support and upgrades to any new releases included in this price. And afterwards, if you want to use support or upgrade to new versions, you have to pay 40% of the license price per year. We have discounts for various reasons, so you can just contact us and we'll get back to you on that one. And of course, licenses for build servers are free of charge. I suppose in your case you're using one, so you know. Okay? Just a few words about return of investment, because this is what managers are looking once you go to them and say, you know, we saw a very cool tool that will help us with Sitecore development, but they ask you, okay, how much does it cost? And when they hear the numbers, they just need to be sure it's really worth their investment. Here we've done some simple calculations. Most of our clients report to have around 10% improvement in their development productivity due to all the features, integration with source control, automated builds, and everything else. Code generation, of course, it's a good productivity boost. So our calculations show that if your developer costs $40 per hour, this is mostly the case for USA and Europe. In just 5 weeks, the TDS pays for itself from the saved time of the developer, and that calculates to 1,000% return of investment per year. It's quite a good deal, and even bigger teams benefit more due to simplified teamwork and, of course, improved quality control and auditing. Okay? And this is the graphics that shows TDS adoption rates throughout the years since we launched it in 2009. You can see it's growing rapidly, and we're quite happy that actually our clients see that TDS is helping them. Well, now we'll continue with Razl, and once again, Nicole will take over.
Okay, so we're back. As far as I get it, none of you have used Razl before, or at least none of the people who were on the call when it started. I see your team is growing there. We're very close to the beer, so just wait a little bit more. So Razl is a tool which is used to compare Sitecore databases. You can merge Sitecore items with a single click. It drastically improves the testing process, and the most important part, at least for me, from a development perspective, is the scripting mode, which allows you to do automated things. It costs $150 per developer, and you can get it in a bundle with TDS for best productivity at a discounted price. And let's move to the demo now. So, in its nature, Razl is a Windows application tool. It's not something you run on Sidecar or not a Visual Studio plugin. It has a fairly simple interface. You have a left side and a right side and a connection. I have presets for my news QA and news production, but adding a new connection is easy. You do it from add a new connection button. We're going to call it news dev. It is possible to make the connection read-only, which means that you won't be able to override the changes, which is good for production instances. Right now, I want my dev instance to be read and write. You have two types of connection types. Direct connection is when you have direct access to the web server, the same way TDS communicates. Direct connection is you have an UNC path and a web URL, and you can use a package connection, which again requires Razl to be installed on the server. The Razl service needs to be installed to the server, but you can use this if you don't have a direct access. Right now, it's on my local, so I'm going to choose direct connection. Again, familiar stuff from TDS, server URL and web root path, which is going to be the path to our website folder. And the only thing left is for me is to click test connection for now. And clicking test connection, while I'm here, I'm going to show you. Connection test successful. Razl is again a web service, which is located here. Same way with TDS. It communicates with Sidecar via this web service. And you have choose the database option. Razl can work with Core, master, web, or any other database you have defined, if you have custom ones. Right now I'm going to choose master. And that's it. I have a new connection, which I'm not going to use right now, but I'm going to use right now actually. So let me compare the changes to show some stuff, which is, let's go to the news. So as you can see, it shows me the differences between the left side, which is our news development, and the right side, which is my production instance. Here we have different items. From here we have options to remove the content or add the content to the other side. It also has field level. It also shows field level differences. Let me just switch this connection to my QA instance. It might take a bit long. My QA seems to be unresponsive for a second.
Actually, while it loads, I have a quick question if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So I can see you, let's say you meant to run it on the, I'm sorry, I just, okay, meant to run it on the production, let's say. Is there any performance impact while you're running it, as you see? So I guess this is going through the website rather than directly called SQL databases. Is that right?
It's trying to use the item cache and history engine, but yeah, if you're syncing from production to QA, you might experience some little performance.
Okay.
Drawbacks mainly spikes in RAM.
Yeah.
Nothing too hard. I mean, we don't have any reported issues with something really, really big happening.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I just wanted to help. So you have to be mindful that just to keep an eye on the server performance when you do it then.
We don't have any, as I said, we don't have any important any reports of degrading performance. So you can just monitor it. It really depends on your servers, I guess.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay. So except for showing different items and missing items, Razl can also track changes of items. So right now on my QA website, I have added a new sorter, and I don't have it on my news production. And it says that it highlights the fields that were changed before. So it's a revision, update, and new sorter right now. So Razl also can help you see the changes between actual field changes that happened on the site. It's also perfect for automated scripting. For me, as I said, this is one of the most intriguing parts. Razl works with fairly simple scripts that I'm now showing on my screen. I'm going to zoom it in. Here we have two connections, QA connection and my production connection, which is read-only. I have the Razl service already installed, and I can chain a list of operations. Right now, my operations is copy all from my production instance to my QA instance, starting from this item ID here, with our home node. Where pointed this? Yeah. So this is my web root node here, Hedgehog News, with this ID. And I'm saying override true. What is script? I'm going to execute the script right now. You see that there are a lot of changes between my QA and my prod instance right now. It's going to take everything from production and synchronize it with my QA instance. Running scripts is just calling Razl from the console, and you provide him with a script name and execute it. You can see that it's providing some sidecar type of logs. You can also feel free to pipe them to a file. For example, you can pipe them, so you have them as a real logs somewhere. And what happened now? Let me refresh here. My QA instance is now an exact match of my production instance. I guess every single one of you have struggles with that. Clients lacking new content on QA instances might cause a lot of issues in production. So by using Razl scripting mode, you can basically run Razl from everywhere. It can be sidecar automated task. It can be a Windows schedule task. It can even be attached to the build server to execute a content synchronization after deployment. And this is a pretty nice way to keep your QA instance fresh, your content fresh. Any questions about that?
Hi, can I actually ask a question? This is about the connections. Now, when you make connections, sometimes you make read-only connection, right? So does that mean if you, let's say, if you have the QA and the production, does that mean the QA and the production both are read-only, or can we make only the production read-only and QA is read and write both?
Well, if it's not read-only, it's just read, right? It doesn't matter. You can even make your dev instance read-only. There is nothing set in stone. This is just an option for us to know. It's not something which is set in stone. I mean, you set it's read-only, and it's mainly for you. Let me make my production read-only now. I'm going to make it read-only. You see that there is an update here that says that my instance is read-only, and I don't have as since there are some changes on the system nodes, and it doesn't allow me to sync them anymore. If the connection is read-only, this stuff here is grayed out, and I can only take content from this instance, not push anything.
That's great, actually. Yeah.
The last feature of Razl I want to talk about is the history engine. Are you guys familiar with the history engine of Sitecore?
Yeah.
Okay. So Razl allows us to sync stuff from the history engine actually, and it's showing the history on every item. It's using the history database. I believe history engine needs to be enabled on version lesser than 6.6, but I might be wrong here. In 7 it's enabled by default, but you can basically see all the changes that happened and you can sync to a specific revision if you want. That's a pretty powerful feature. It's in the new Razl as well. So that's about the history engine. Any questions? Any more questions about Razl?
Yes, one question. Maybe there might be a limitation. Is there possibility, I mean, to compare all the two sides and get the differences only or something? Yeah, I mean, we have to browse through each and every child, not the.
Yeah, I get you. I get your question.
Yeah.
Right now I'm not sure on the status of this. This request we are getting pretty often. At the moment, it's not possible, but I need to synchronize with the product team on what's the state on this request. But as we speak right now, it's still not yet implemented in Razl.
Okay.
But that's a request we are getting a lot, so we will definitely think about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So this actually ends our presentation. Thank you very much. You can get TDS and Razl support at support@hedgehogdev.com. You can also feel free to reach us on Twitter or email, Facebook or LinkedIn, and feel free to reach me as well if you have any more specific questions. And any final questions, or you just want to drink beer now?
It was a great presentation. Actually, we learned a lot.
Well, I want to thank the presenters for inviting us over. You're building a really nice community over there. I'm glad to see so many people coming to this kind of events. And keep it like this, guys, and move on. I hope the next time I'm presenting at your user group, there will be at least 100 people.
Yeah, and we will be right there in front of you. I was in Sri Lanka last year for part of my honeymoon, and I really like your country.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Once again, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Bye. And if you need anything afterwards, don't hesitate to write us.
Yeah.
So thanks both of you for the thing. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Hope to hear from you. Bye.